family and community, if you all don't mind standing with me, just lining up back here as a show of support. We're all going to stand behind Ms. Perkins here. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am, right here. Don't be nervous. Yes. Oh, yep. Right. Come on, fill in. Perfect. Good morning. My name is Lee Merritt, Leemerritt. I'm standing here with Ms. Catrella Perkins, Catrela Perkins, common spelling. This morning we filed a lawsuit on behalf of the estate of Steve Perkins for his brutal murder on September 29th here in the city of Decatur. That lawsuit names several defendants. I'll share those specifically in a moment. During the process of this press conference, I'll outline the averments and specific allegations in the lawsuit. We will identify the defendants and answer any questions the members of the media may have. The community is here as their fight is only accentuated by the lawsuit filed today, and their fight continues as a part of the greater goal of getting complete justice for this family. What complete justice for this family, for this community looks like starts with criminal accountability. There's also a civil accountability for the estate of Mr. Perkins, and that's what we're getting into. But ultimately, with the lawsuit, what lies at the heart of the lawsuit and everyone's action is policy change to ensure that something like this never happens in the city of Decatur again and to prevent this kind of violence throughout the country. The lawsuit filed this morning in the Northern District of Alabama, here in the Federal District Court, cites the city of Decatur as the defendant. Bailey Marquette, Christopher Mukadam, Joey Williams, Vance Summers, Pentagon Federal Credit Union, All-Star Recovery LLC, Caleb Combs, and Richie Brady, each as defendants. The lawsuit lays out the vast majority of the lawsuit is under Section 1983, alleging Fourth Amendment violations. The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution ensures that all citizens are to be free from unlawful seizure. When these men made this conspiracy to ambush Mr. Perkins at his home in order to take from him unlawfully his vehicle, they violated the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, which entitles this community to recovery. They coordinated with individual members of the corporate community, the named defendants, as well as individuals, civilians who coordinated with law enforcement, enlisted the services of law enforcement, again unlawfully, to deprive the Perkins family of their rights. And that lies at the heart of the lawsuit which we filed today. We do not name a specific numbered amount. The federal courts require that we file a lawsuit in excess of $75,000 in order to enter the courtroom in the first place. And this lawsuit is obviously, the value is in excess of $75,000, but there is no numeric amount that will do justice for this family. And we do intend to pursue an outcome that will be crippling for the city of Decatur. What I mean by that is that we want to go after what we call extraordinary relief, injunctive relief, where the court will come in and say there's certain policies and procedures that occur here in the city that will not be allowed to continue. And we plan to first establish in our lawsuit that these policies are either in place or de facto policies of the city. And after that, we plan to get into the meat of the litigation. With that said, I'm opening up this for questions. The civil process will necessarily play second fiddle to the criminal process. We know that the criminal process is underway. It is our hopes that the prosecutor will have this case before the grand jury before the year ends. Once this case goes before a grand jury, and as we anticipate, indictments are handed down, officers are charged with crimes along with the other any culpable individuals, we anticipate that the court will say, because this is their habit, that because of the rights of the individuals accused criminally, the civil lawsuit will have to be stayed pending the outcome of the criminal case. So there will be a delay. This is a delay that we're not concerned about. In fact, we look forward to it. We hope to learn a lot more during the criminal proceedings than we already know in the lawsuit. The lawsuit that we filed today is a basic outline of what we believe happened, but there's still so much that we don't know. There's still so much that this community is still asking about how, why, and we're hoping that that's answered during the criminal process.
A lot of people you guys named in the lawsuit. How does that work in terms of what sticks in the end? Is everyone jointly being sued, or are they sued in their individual capacity?
Yeah, so the lawsuit names what each individual is being sued for, and so for example, the financing company, who were not necessarily physically present on the scene when Mr. Perkins was killed, still unlawfully authorized the repossession of his vehicle. And when they knew they had no right to do that, and set these things into motion. And so there will be a contractual violation. And when you have a chance to review the lawsuit, you'll see an unlawful debt collection practices claim that obviously would not be applied to other members of the defense. And so the claims will vary according to individual.
Where does the tow truck company come into the lawsuit? What are they like?
Right. The tow truck company, it appears, coordinated or conspired with law enforcement in the ambush and murder of Steve Perkins. The tow truck company is being accused of both unlawfully attempting to repossess the vehicle and enter Mr. Perkins' property, as well as contractual violations concerning the repossession of the vehicle.
This is the first time we're getting to see the names of the police officers involved in this case. Will that have any effect on the criminal investigation by a later?
Well, I'm hoping that now that the names are publicized in a federal civil rights lawsuit, that will assist the prosecutor and investigators in determining what actually happened and making the proper criminal charging decisions. Right now, the city has moved for firing certain individuals, certain officers within the Decatur City Police Department are taking administrative action against others, but did not identify their names. That's extremely unusual for an ongoing criminal investigation. When there is a criminal investigation of any other normal citizen, someone who's not enjoying undue protection from the city, they're named, their faces blasted on TV, and that gives the community an opportunity to say, I know this person, I have additional information that may be helpful in the litigation, and that's what we anticipate will come out from the fact that these names are now public.
Now that it is a federal lawsuit, suit going against certain parties, do you think you'll still get a fair case in Morgan County, or will you have to change the venue to get equity, fair equity?
I believe that this horrific incident occurred here in Morgan County, and that the people of Morgan County have the right to hear the facts of the case, both in the criminal and honestly in the federal case. The federal case, as you know, will pull in jurors from all over the region. And so we believe that what happened to Mr. Perkins is a national tragedy. I believe that once additional evidence comes out, as the criminal case moves forward, there's not going to be a place in the country where the name Steve Perkins is not familiar. This is the proper venue. We anticipate that the city, that the defendants will ask for a change of venue, maybe to a more conservative jurisdiction. We believe that would be inappropriate.
You mentioned Richie Brady and Caleb Combs. Can you confirm that they're employed by All-Star Recovery? And again, can you elaborate on their individual involvement in Steve Perkins' death?
I cannot confirm their employment, and I also can't confirm the extent of their involvement. As I mentioned, it's a skeleton lawsuit that states a basic claim. We know that they were involved, and we're looking forward during the process of discovery. That means depositions, interrogatories, interviews, to learn more about their specific role and what role they'll play in accountability.
One more time, your goal overall for this lawsuit is to bring policy change. Can you kind of elaborate on that one more time?
Yes, ma'am. Primarily, the federal courts only allow for monetary results. And so the success of a lawsuit, the ability of this lawsuit to change the city will be based in part on how much we're able to recover from the city. And because of that, we plan to go after a historic number not only for Decatur or for Alabama, but for the country. And so that is our goal, to maximize the recovery for this family. And if that cripples or slows down the police department, if that money comes out of the police department's budget or causes the members of this community to say that we need to reevaluate our leadership, then that is the goal. But in addition to that, sometimes the court will offer extraordinary relief. That means the court will step in and tell the city specifically that they need to change certain policies, that they need to review certain practices, that they should subject themselves to a reform, either in the form of a pattern and practice investigation or otherwise. We are also seeking that from the court.
Beyond the city of Decatur, do you have like a plan or a vision for a national change?
Yeah, beyond the city of Decatur, we are hoping that the example that was outlined in this community, the organization that this community engaged in, the political activism, the fact that people have been putting their hats in for leadership, the fact that there are people who camp out in front of City Hall every night. We're hoping that this community will be a gold standard on how to respond to police tragedy. And as a result, we will see this occur most often. When you talk about national change, I have to remind us that we live in, culturally, the deadliest police culture in the modern world, that there's not a nation on planet Earth that kills and incarcerates more of its citizens, period, that we're the only modern nation that kills by gunfire 3 of our citizens a day. This has to stop. What Decatur is realizing, the city of Decatur is realizing, is what the city of Brunswick realizes, what the city of Minneapolis realized, that this kind of incident, although it rocks the city, it causes you to open up to the fact that we live in a very militarized police culture that must end. This culture was started by policy, specifically from our government. It's going to take policy change, and a community awoke and willing to take on that challenge to properly reform it.
So how do you think immunity, qualified immunity plays a role in this kind of trend?
I thank you for that question. I just want to clarify for the listeners and for the benefit of those who are behind me. He asked about the issue of qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is probably the biggest hurdle that this family is going to face, and the biggest hurdle to justice in terms of police violence in the United States. Qualified immunity is a judicially created doctrine, meaning it's not law. It's a judicially created doctrine where judges decided in the 70s that laws were changing too quickly and that officers should be given sort of a buffer to learn about the new rules when it comes to engaging the community. And so they were giving certain qualified immunity. And what the court was explaining was that unless there was a bright line rule, a case that on what we call all fours, before that city or in that region, then officers would be given the benefit of the doubt, and they would be free not only from criminal accountability and civil accountability, but they would be free from lawsuit entirely. In other words, in the moment we filed this lawsuit, the city of Decatur, we expect their initial response is going to be a motion to dismiss, a 12B6 motion to dismiss, based on qualified immunity. That these officers had no idea that what they did by coordinating with individuals in the public to take someone's vehicle, by emptying a clip into Mr. Perkins in a residential community, they didn't know that was wrong. The law hasn't told them prior to today that it was wrong. We don't believe that to be the case. We believe that it's clearly established that what was done on the evening of September 29th of this year was illegal, was a crime, that the officers knew that they should have known that, and qualified immunity should not apply to this case. However, we do also, as a nation, as an organized community, need to address the issue of qualified immunity in Alabama, so that additional hurdle that, again, tips the scales of justice in favor of law enforcement is removed. Thank you for the question.
Can you talk more specifically into why you're suing the tow truck company?
The tow truck company coordinated with law enforcement and set this thing into motion, in addition to the financing company. So they're just one of the important defendants that we need to go after.
Have you been able to identify any specific policy in the Decatur Police Department that the officers violated?
Yeah, the policy violations are identified within the lawsuit, and I've tried to provide a brief outline in my statements today. But when they coordinated with individuals in the public to repossess a vehicle, that is a policy violation. The city of Decatur doesn't have a policy where they help assist in repossessions. The fact that they surreptitiously surrounded the property, they secreted themselves around the property as opposed to announcing that they were maybe investigating a crime is a policy violation. The use of force as opposed to some other means like a verbal command that properly allows for, which would have properly allowed Mr. Perkins the opportunity to respond, is a policy violation. But all of the policy violations that we're alleging lined up with the facts are outlined in the lawsuit. Thank you all so much for your time. I do want to invite members of the community, besides Ms. Perkins, I want to put her on the spot unless she feels like it, to offer a statement concerning the ongoing fight or about this next step as we get into litigation. So his brother Nick is present. If you would like to say something, I would love to have you. Any other members of the community, Rodney, et cetera. Nick is good. Thank you. Anyone else? Everyone's good. You speaking for everyone? All right. Thank you. Thank you all so much for your time. God bless.